I'm back. Hey guys, before we start today's story, I just wanted to say thank you for all the support you have given me these past few years that my channel has been on YouTube. Now, I know I'm not as big as MCP or any of the other guys, but I try my best to give you the content you want. And starting today, I am officially back in business. Now, on to today's story. I was asked to clean out my father's house after he had passed away. He was a huge gaming nerd. He even camped out for the release of the NES when he was about my age, 19. He had them all: Atari 2600, Atari Flashback, Magnavox Odyssey 2000 to 5000, NES, SNES, N64, NGC, Wii, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, DS, DS Lite, DSi, 3DS, Xbox, Xbox 360, PlayStation 1 to 3, PSP, and even a PlayStation Vita. He might have even had the Wii U if he was alive long enough for the release. I was in my father's house alone, cleaning out the basement. I then grabbed one of the last cardboard boxes down there, and I noticed how light it was. Wondering why it was so light, I peeked inside to find that one old NES game cartridge was left inside. It did not have a label on it like the others, and it had MaRIo crudely written by my father with permanent marker. I became curious. Why was this game all by itself in a box? Why was the label torn off? Why was it written like that? And why was MaRIo spelled so crudely? Since my father handed me down all of his games and consoles, which included his NES, I decided to take it home with me and figure it out for myself. I got home and set up the NES. Then I immediately popped the game and started it up. Things already seemed a little off. The game had no startup screen. It simply just placed me at the start of the first level of what appeared to be the classic game that we all know and love, Super Mario Bros. Well, the game is old, I thought to myself. Maybe it is just a little glitchy, and that is why it skipped the startup screen. Dad did buy it at its midnight release, after all, so I continued. As I expected, the game was rather glitchy. Sometimes when grabbing a fire flower, it would make Mario small, and stars only worked 75% of the time. As well, Toad never said the message he had for you at the end of every castle. You know, "Thank you, Mario, but our princess is in another castle." He never said anything. That was until World 7's castle. Only one step closer to becoming one of us. This message made me chuckle a little. I assumed my father had hacked the game for laughs, and that was why it was so glitchy before. Things got weird after that. In level 8-1, the sky was dark red, and the music was a little slower than usual. The whole level was nothing but 5 minutes of walking. No enemies or obstacles, just the ground. Reaching the end of the level, I grabbed the flag. The ending fanfare did not play, and the fireworks sounded more like gunshots than 8-bit explosions. Okay, that was strange, I thought to myself. What was the point in that? Oh well, on to the next. That's when I started level 8-2, which was even stranger. The sky was an even darker red, and the music played even slower than before. This time, there were enemies. I was then approached by a Koopa Troopa, and for points, I jumped on him. The delightful little noise that plays when you jump on an enemy did not play this time. Instead, there was a loud squish, accompanied with the cracking of bones and a slight groan. This was weird and sadistic. It did not seem like something my father would do. In fact, he in no way condemned anything scary in my house as I was growing up. He never allowed my older sister or myself to play any scary games or watch any scary movies. We did at our friends' houses, of course, but that is besides the point. I moved on and ran into a Goomba to make sure the earlier sound I heard was not a glitch. So I jumped on it. The same sound played again. I was starting to become unsettled, to say the least. When I reached the end of the level, the same thing happened as it had at the end of the previous level. I noticed something even more weird though. The spot on the screen that showed what level you were on did not display World 8-3. Instead, it showed World, followed by the symbol on the flag at the end of every level that looked like a skull. I know it is not actually a skull, but to me it looks like one. The third level of the world skull was even stranger. The sky was a dark red, much darker than before, and the music did not even play. The enemies that I came to were already dead. Their bodies appeared twisted and mangled like someone had beaten them to death. I reached the end. There was no flag or anything like that, just a castle. It had Welcome MaRIo painted on the front of it with what I assumed to be blood. Reluctantly, I entered. The black screen that shows your status between levels showed that I had 0 lives and that I was in World DED. I was pale and trembling with fear. Just what was this game? What was wrong? The castle was like the first level of World Skull. There were no obstacles, no enemies, no slow music whatsoever. It was quiet. I walked straight for what seemed like at least 15 minutes. My time gauge reached 0, but the level kept going. It felt like MaRIo was not even alone, like someone was watching his every move. My only questions there were, what was MaRIo's mission in this sadistic, twisted game? What did he want to accomplish? And why? I had to finish the game to know. Finally, I came to the end of the level. There he stood, Bowser, in all his 8-bit glory. His eyes were missing, and his belly appeared to be fleshless. This was certainly not the normal Bowser that you'd see at the end of every Mario game. More specifically, at the end of Mario Brothers. As I prepared to fight him, he quickly grabbed Mario. He then began to laugh evilly, realistically, sounds that cannot be made on an 8-bit console. It became clear to me this was not a hack. Bowser hit Mario's head off. Mario's body shivered and struggled as Bowser dragged him behind the battle scene. You know where Princess Peach was supposed to be. I was expecting to see just Princess Peach. Oh, who am I kidding? I was not expecting anything that would save me from this nightmare. I saw Toad, Luigi, and Peach. However, both Luigi and Peach had toad heads on their bodies instead of their own. Bowser then grabbed the Toad's head and stuck it on Mario. He placed him next to the others. Bowser then proceeded to rip his own head off and began to pull out his intestines. Then text appeared. Press B for a harder quest, and even you can become one of us. I threw my controller at the screen, so hard that the screen actually broke. I then ejected the cartridge and threw it at the wall. It fell into pieces, and I noticed that there was a note inside. I picked it up and read it. Dear son, you're next. Love, Dad. I threw both the game and the letter in the fire that I started in my fireplace. I will never be able to get that sadistic picture of my beloved characters like that out of my head. To this day, I cannot play Super Mario Brothers, and the other morning, I woke up to see MaRIo carved into my arm. To take my mind off these things, I began looking through all of the other NES games. On top of the stack was Super Mario Brothers 2. However, the label was different. It spelled Super Mario Brothers 2. And it was written the same way as the Mario cartridge I had recently burned in my fireplace. As I looked at the top, the picture of Mario delightfully carrying a turnip was instead a picture of Mario with an angry toad head carrying Birdo's decapitated head instead of a turnip. After that, I just decided never to play any Mario game ever again. Whatever was on this game could only be worse. Thank you for reading. I wanted somebody to know about this before something happened to me. Goodbye.